Welcome to this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. The types of business that occur at these meetings include public hearings, official voting on actions by the Board of Commissioners, presentations by departments of the county, and recognition of service that makes our county great. As your elected representatives, the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners is committed to improving the lives of all our residents while preparing county government to meet the demands of the future. In order to do that, we need to share our thoughts and plans with you. More importantly, we need you to share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions with us. We encourage you to come and experience the process by attending any of these meetings. They occur every first and third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. at the St. Clair County Administration Building at 200 Grand River Avenue in Port Huron.
Important. So this started with our community needs assessment. I just want to emphasize that this was used a national model called mobilizing action through partnerships and something else, I'm sorry, ma'am. But it is a framework that's been used throughout the country and really has allowed communities to improve their health outcomes. And you've heard me talk about our health outcomes over and over again. They are not good for a community as prosperous and as advantaged as we are. So these are basically the components. We have gone through all of those as a community. As you can see, we even did some extra assessments using Yale, the South Side of Port Huron, Washington Life, and even our Blue Water Young professionals. So it's a really diverse, comprehensive assessment. And just to remind you, I'm not public health. Our governmental local public health department is only a small part of this whole public health system that includes law enforcement and all the other components that you guys deal with every day. And I emphasize that because as I go through this, and I am going to skip all of the details, I can just say that our 7 priority areas are these right here: chronic disease and prevention, no surprises; healthcare; substance abuse, no surprises there; mental health; the well-being of children and adolescents; and economic opportunity, environmental health. And I'm going to skip all the details because you told me to. What I'd like for you guys to remember, though, under each section,
read it online.
You can read it in your package. After each section, there is a brief explanation of why they were chosen. There's a goal. There's policy. Policy priorities of where we want us to focus on, and then there are specific measures. As you guys look at these, and as any of our agencies or collaborative community members look at these, as you look through them, there are going to things that just come out, and you're going to say, that's something we're already working on. That's something I already have a goal in. And that's exactly what we want to know about and how we want you to focus. So this doesn't expect you to change your priorities. We have one, obviously, access to health care. The goal is to ensure all people have full and equal opportunities to attain their highest level of health. I told you I'm going to fly through this. Substance abuse. This was the second most important health problem to our community, only behind cancer. You've heard me say this before. The prevalence of our diseases is not high, with the exception of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and asthma, but our mortality rates are high. We die sooner. We don't have more disease. We die sooner from it. And so these goals are really focused on trying to address those issues.
Can you go back to the cancer thing? I just had this.
Yes.
St. Clair County has the highest
Yes.
rate of cancer than any other place in the state of Michigan.
We do not.
All right. Thank
We
you.
do not.
Well, I know that, but I always argue with people about it. I try to tell them.
And send them to me. I have lots of, in fact, if you're interested, I have a whole presentation on our prevalence of our data.
It's just kind of nice to have
I
that
know,
information.
I know, and it's unfortunate because we do have things to worry about. The prevalence of our cancer rates is not one of them. We do smoke more and drink more than a lot of communities, which is a risk factor. So we talk about smoking, vaping. We got some new emergency rules coming out, and I'd be happy to talk to you guys about that when you're ready. We support the governor's vaping orders, rules. This is the mental health rule. The general perception throughout the community is there is not adequate access to mental health services. Our community mental health provides services to approximately 40% of the people with severe debilitating mental health issues. There's a lot of people out there beyond that that we really need to access. So this is a partnership. We need to work with them. Those are the policies for that. We have a well-being of children and adolescents. And the piece I want to remind you of, this isn't just about childhood illness, it's childhood trauma, which we're seeing in a lot of family disruption. Early childhood behaviors they're a crisis in our community. They're a crisis. Our kids, our truancy rates, our teen pregnancy rates, and briefly adverse childhood experiences, I believe, is a core factor. It's something we all have to learn. As you can see, upstream experiences, traumatic experiences that children have will result in all of these health outcomes. And in the bottom, you'll see educational, occupational, and income. So the outcomes of trauma, their dose response, the more trauma, the poorer the outcomes these kids have as adults. So this is a really important concept I think we need to look at as we look at prevention. So that's the policy developments in children. Economic opportunity, health is wealth. You guys, this should be a page, this should be a priority area that I hope you look at carefully, because what you do is going to be included in how we summarize these things annually. And I think the work that you do with Blue Meets Green, economic development, have a profound impact on the health of our community. There is something called health and all policies that I'd like to get back to you about. This is a concept that every policy development, governmental or otherwise, that's created has health implications, and those should be considered before you make the policies, before you go in that direction. And that's something that I think is kind of a no-brainer at the other term. It often is not. Those decisions are often made purely on financial, economical means, and we need to consider what the long-term health implications of some of those, some bad, some good, but we do need to consider health in all policies. And finally, environmental health. You guys know that's a concern. We have PFAS, we have lead. We have lots of environmental concerns that keep popping up. And we need to stay on top of that, and we need to make sure that policy developments are also considered in health. So clean air, water, legacy lead, fresh food access, health and all policies, that's at HIAP. It's a collaborative approach that hopefully I'll be able to get in front of you guys in the future, and we can go through it a little bit more carefully. This is something even at the state level they're embracing with their Public Health Advisory Council to include health and all policy and all policy decisions that are made. All right, so am I going too fast? I knew you'd say that. Are you still paying attention? All right, I'm looking at you, man. All right, Chip. So this is what we're going to do. So what's going to happen? This is not a dead document. I promise you. Our advisory committee is going to reconvene annually, and those who weren't involved in the original plan hopefully will be included. We'll review the plan, we'll discuss progress, and then we're going to have an annual update and a progress report, which I'll bring to you guys, and we can start looking at where we're making headway and where we're not. You will see as you go through some of these policies and objectives that many of this, as I mentioned, are already on your table, are already on your desk, and things that you're considering. So we will include those. This is a living document for 5 years. And the hope is that you will use it when you craft your policies, and we share these ideas with partners. I'm hoping that every collaborative community partner is going to take this document and at least be aware of it and use it when they develop their strategic plans, when they develop their budgets, and really even when they're pursuing grants. Busy slide, but you can see this was a very collaborative project. This had a wide range of stakeholders, and we're very pleased, and thank you to everybody who was part of that. The full document is on our website. You do have the full document in front of you, and I would urge you guys to contact me and communicate with me further if you have questions, and I'll be back, I promise. Anything else on this issue? And I'm going to ask that you guys accept this as a formal county official document. So this will be, again, not health department, this will be ours.
Good.
Well, you had Bill with the initial motion, correct?
Correct.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dr. Mercantile.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
We have a motion, we have a support. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the library board appointment. Do I have a motion to approve appoint William Foster of East China to a term to expire in August of 2020?
Motion to send it on to the full board. Support.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
He's on the Parks and Rec right now?
Yes, he sits on the Parks and Recs, and we're adding him to the library. There's some talk that the library may be interested in doing some sort of a millage request, and Bill Foster has probably gone through about 8 or 10 different millage requests in his lifetime. So he would be a great addition for that particular reason, as well as others.
Very good. Okay. We have a motion support. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other human services matters? Item 9A, St. Clair County Health Department, August points of interest.
Motion to receive and file.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion to receive and file all packets.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Judiciary and Public Safety Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baldwin,
Present?
Commissioner Heidemann, Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Still here.
Commissioner Graytop,
Here.
Commissioner McConnell.
Here. I see no additions so far. If there are none, could we have a motion to approve agenda?
So moved. Support.
We have motion to support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any citizens wishing to be heard? Seeing none. Updates? Are none? Conceptual initiatives? We have no old business. Under new business, we have the fiscal year 2020 residential substance abuse treatment grant. It's in the amount of $215,971. It's a 25% match, and the 25% comes from Region 10 and the Sheriff's Commissary Fund.
I'd move this be sent to the full board.
Support.
We have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7B, the fiscal year 2020 secondary road patrol grant application. This is funded by the state. This year's grant is in the amount of $138,465. There is no local match.
Motion to send it on to the full board.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a renewal of the Motorola maintenance agreement contract. It is for central dispatch. It's for the radio consoles. It's a 3% increase over the previous year. It's $27,336.
I'd move this be sent to the full board.
Support.
We have motion and support. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have the fiscal year 2020 highway safety grant application. This is an overtime grant for $33,912 used for safety belt and DUI, and it's used for wages and benefits.
Motion to send it on to the full board.
Second.
We have motion and support. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The fiscal year 2019 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement. This is $44,029, and the grant has been received, correct, Justin? And this is going to allow us to pass through and pay things from this.
Motion sent full board.
Support.
We have motion and support. Is there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other judiciary public safety matters at this time? Seeing none, motion to receive and file packets.
So moved.
Support.
We have motion to support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I've heard that before.
Good evening. I'd like to call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Environmental Public Works Committee to order. And Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Baldwin,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann, Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
And still here.
Commissioner Greatop,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn.
Here. Item 2, additions, deletions, changes to the agenda.
Make a
Motion
motion, go ahead.
Motion to approve is presented.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens to be heard about environmental public works committee issues? Seeing none, I would like to move to updates for the Blue Water Conservation District update presentation tonight.
Hello, and thanks for having us. My name's Charlie Lewis. I farm out in North Street, just north of Port Huron. We have cattle and crops, and we'd like to thank you for all your support over the years. I'd also like to introduce Joe Couts, who's our executive director, and ask Christina Nicola, who's our USDA NRCS officer, and Alyssa Winters, who is now our new Farm Bill technician, to say hello. And I will turn it over to Joseph to give you an update on how well we have spent your money over the last year.
Well, thanks for having us back. We try to do this about once a year. We want to, the Conservation District wants to thank the commissioners from St. Clair and Macomb County for the support of this position that we began probably close to 5-6 years ago. And we like to tell you guys about our accomplishments and what the financial help does mean to what we're getting accomplished. So, and you guys have the packets in front of you, so I'm just going to touch upon a few things, and a lot of it's similar programming from previous years, but particularly our Farm Bill Technician program. Each year we're taking that money and we're pairing it with the USDA's NRCS grant funds to support this position that allows local people to be hired to help bring in USDA federal dollars to the local landowners in the area. This is a great year where any money we can get into this area. The farming's not turned out too well for many people. We've done all we can do to try to bring various monies to these farms to keep them plugging along through this year of 2019. So just some quick highlights of that with the conservation program side. We've through our office there, we've tried to work with 60, new Macomb and St. Clair applicants seeking the funding this year. Many of those applications were a direct result of just no planning was happening, and there's this vacant ground, and we were trying to get some sort of cover crop, and there was kind of an emergency initiative as well. So there was a select amount of money for the whole state. We worked a lot of hours overtime to try to get as many applicants in as we could and try to bring the money to this area. So with our success, we were able to, and through the general sign-ups, we were able to bring about $1.25 million worth of Farm Bill conservation programming to this area. So amongst the and of course, many of this, Charlie wanted me to mention that a lot of this money, even through the contracts, goes to contractors and other, purchases and so forth as well. So it doesn't just stay with the farmers. So it creates an economic boom there. Through the past 5-6 years, we still have 57 existing contracts. That's still a total of $2.7 million that we're still continuing to work with those farmers to work them through the whole 3 or 4 year contract process of implementing conservation practices on their ground. And then kind of to the date, these practices are in some way, shape, or form are touching about 12,000 acres. And those acres are kind of within Macomb and St. Clair. I've kind of gotten to where I'm doing this presentation with them, and it's easier for me to put things together. But similarly, probably the acreage is pretty close to either being split or there's a lot of inter-county farming going on, so it gets hard to determine who's really from Macomb, who's from St. Clair, just because how the logistics are set up. So some of the practice highlights this year, As I said, cover crops is probably the largest one because there's that, what they call the disaster recovery, the cover crop initiative. Christina still, and Alyssa, they're still working through some of those contracts and trying to get some stuff fall planted and so forth as well. In the last presentation, High Tunnels is kind of a produce growing program where it's, basically a greenhouse, but it's just, the bare ground on the bottom and you can extend the growing season. So that kind of touches upon the previous where there wasn't as much access to local foods. And that's a growing trend every year. That seems to keep going up, more and more interest. Young people trying to dabble into farming where it's not overly expensive, that's something that they can get into. So that seems to be one of the higher demands in our programs that we offer. And nutrient management as well. We know with the Lake Erie situation that goes on, we work directly with Saginaw Bay landowners a lot through the Blue Water CD. So we do push nutrient management and try to get some more responsible fertilizer applications out there through our program as well. So that's kind of the gist of what we're utilizing our technicians' time for, is to bring in these additional dollars, create these contracts, help hold the person's hand through the program, because it is government and can be cumbersome, but we try to do our best locally here to take the pain out of some of that. Just to kind of a little quick recap about our organization. Many of you guys know that we are the formation of the St. Clair and Sanilac CD now. We did that probably 2 years ago. So we have directors from both counties sitting on our board of directors now. That partnership or that consolidation has worked out great. We've been able to secure about 8 grants. 2 of those positions or grants being, our Farm Bill technician for St. Clair and Macomb County. We also have the same position in Sanilac County as well, which Sanilac County commissioners help support that one as well. Those positions created the need for some technical assistance because we couldn't do it all, so NRCS or the USDA gave us another grant that's fully funded for a technical assistance grant. So we have another person signed or hired just to do a lot of the plans and work with the farms without going through the sign-up process or the promotions of it like Alyssa would be doing. The MEAP program, that Michigan Agricultural Environmental Assurance Program, that continues to be a stronghold in the state of Michigan. We have a technician for St. Clair County only now. We were able to get that grant about, this is our 2nd year on it now. Where it used to be combined with Sanilac or was combined with St. Clair, Lapeer, and Macomb County at one time. So we got that split off, so there's more time dedicated to St. Clair County. We have a wildlife biologist that covers Sanilac and St. Clair and Lapeer counties and Macomb counties. She's available down here 1 day a week for landowners that are looking to enroll into programs that, would be more, drive to hunting or those interests of wildlife habitat. We also, just last year, we gathered a Michigan Produce Safety grant, and that's because of the amount of produce that's grown kind of more in the southern tier of St. Clair County and into Macomb County. And that grant is based on educating to the new FSMA rules. It's federal, I'm trying to think what it, federal safety rules through the Food and Drug Administration anyways. And she's had a lot of site visits and trying to bring, the produce farms into regulation with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration rules. And some other popular programs that we've gone through would be through the Farm Bill, we've got agrochemical containment facilities still on the docket to be done. On-farm fueling facilities, so they're falling within like double-walled containments, so fuel doesn't leak out. Pest management, we've had a lot of interest in pollinator habitat in the past couple of years. I want to say we've done like 400 acres in St. Clair County this past year through some programs. And then we're getting a little more and more into invasive species management as well. As far as for MEEP, as far as that goes, we have 77 verifications in this county through that Michigan Agricultural Environmental Assurance Program. And that program also will randomly monitor 6 wells for partial chemistry, E. coli, and pesticide presence. And that's randomly picked by the state. They give us these landowners' names who have a restricted use pesticide license. And then we contact those farms to see if they're willing to let us pull water samples and send them into the state. So it's a good checks and balance to make sure farms aren't having contaminants go down into their wells. And if we do find it, then obviously we're helping them out to try to find what the source is so they're not drinking that. We still offer equipment rentals. Our no-till drill program actually is continuing to grow in St. Clair County, where it was kind of dying out in Sanilac County because the drills weren't big enough. We're probably shifting a lot of our acreage more towards the farms in St. Clair County. So it's kind of almost revived that program that we thought was somewhat dying out. So we're probably getting about 1,500 acres of use on that in St. Clair County. Yep, go ahead.
The drill equipment rental, I can remember when they started that. Interesting side note. My dad was on the Soil Conservation Board then, and they bought the first no-till drill around and rented it out. And then when St. Clair County bought a bigger drill, my dad and my grandpa bought the original drill, and we've used it up to this year when we finally upgraded.
And then, so other things that we do offer, we have our educational programming. I think towards the end of that packet, you can see a picture. We did a fruit tree pruning workshop that we started off at a small orchard by Yale there, and the people that were calling in to RSVP for it kind of grew out of hand. So I was like, all right, well, let's go to the local township hall. I got the permission for that, and we still had to cut people off, and that was standing room only, and we had to turn people away. We didn't realize that would be so popular. Of course, that happened to be a nasty day in March when we held that, but the people still turned out for it. So we also have participated in the Lake St. Clair Water Festival, which is down in Macomb County, doing tree giveaways and tree education, but on their behalf of the support they give us, we go down and help them with that. And any education about conservation around Lake St. Clair is a benefit to both counties. And then we also do our product sales, tree sales being our main one. And shout out to the parks for letting us use their building. It works out great. We probably had 400 pre-orders that went through there this year. And there's a kind of a picture to showing how full the building gets with our trees as well. Total for tree sales between Sanilac, St. Clair, and Macomb County that we're doing, we're probably pushing 300,000 trees out the door a year though. So pretty impressive and a lot of work. And I know Christina had a few things she wanted to say on behalf of USDA to the commissioners as well.
I don't mean to cut you short, but we have a 6 o'clock meeting that we have to be at, and we've got to get to our agenda, so if you could just, wrap it up quick, please.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
I actually just wanted to say thank you. This grant has enabled us to build a very large group of conservation professionals that service this county as well as Macomb. My supervisor and even the state conservationist takes notice of things like your contribution to the districts. So thank you.
Okay.
And we're done unless you have questions for us.
Any questions?
Just one.
Yep.
How many acres of cover crops are in St. Clair County this year? If you don't know, that's fine also, but how many? 6,000 acres? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a lot more than normal because a lot of stuff didn't get
I
planted.
ask you
in
that
with-
question every year.
Okay,
you,
moving
guys.
on, item 5, conceptual initiatives. Nothing tonight? No old business. New business, item A, lighthouse, or light station duplex roof restoration contract.
Move we send that to the full board.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions?
I think Dennis is here, if there's any questions too, so.
Is it happening?
Yes.
Okay. This is for a time, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Gratiot Road I-94 Bike Trail Construction Grant.
Make a motion, we send this on to the full board.
Support.
Are there any questions, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, Brownfield Plan,
Can I
Campus
get
Inn
Jeff Donaldson
Redevelopment
for a
Project.
quick second? Jeff, can you just pop that picture up there for me? I just want to chime in. I don't know if you guys want just a quick little 2-minute history lesson here about what they're asking about. So the old middle school, as we refer to it in the city of St. Clair, has recently been purchased by the developers of the St. Clair Inn. That school's 26, 23, something like that. They're going to convert that into multiple things to support the St. Clair Inn. One of the things they're going to do, there's a cafeteria in there. They're going to be doing all their baked goods for both the St. Clair Inn and the Harrington Inn off-site. A lot of their offices, just a lot of storage. You don't realize the St. Clair Inn itself is 20,000 square foot larger than this old building. So imagine all the linens and tables and all that good stuff they got to do. Off-site laundry. One of the big other things, which truthfully is, I think, pretty exciting, is the workforce housing piece of it. Okay, there's roughly going to be, I'm not sure if it's 40 or 60 apartments in here. They're going to, a lot of these kids, millennials that get out of college, a lot of these culinary, students have some college debt, that stuff, so they can't afford a lot of times a lot of, expensive housing, so they're going to be housing a lot of that there too. So just a really neat reuse of an old school building to St. Clair. It was never on the tax rolls previous. They established a value, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, it's roughly 500,000 now, 250 property.
So it's split up, the
250
assessment's
build.
split up between land and building.
So,
and
so just by them taking ownership, this thing went on the tax rolls for $500,000 in St. Clair. And they need to now, the next tool in the toolbox is forming a brownfield. So you will capture your taxes of X amount of dollars for all taxing jurisdictions, but the increase in that then will be, we'll go back into the improvements in the project. This is pretty standard development stuff when you're talking about old obsolete buildings, and we've used it before in the past. So that's kind of the brief.
Thanks, Jeff. Do we have a motion?
No, we do not.
Make a motion, we send it on to the full board.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Oh, Jeff, he had something.
Aye.
Sorry, Jeff.
If you could also add a public hearing to that motion at the full board meeting to, the statute requires that there be a public hearing to approve the final
It
resolution.
doesn't have to be part of the motion.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
Actually, I was just going to make one more comment, because Mr. McConnell, you were involved in the redevelopment of the old school in Yale, and got an opportunity to tour that facility. Looks like an old school, right, out front, but when you walk in there, it looks like a very nice apartment complex. It was, you guys did a senior housing
Yeah,
complex.
55 and older,
Yeah.
40
But,
units.
But really neat, but you look at the front of the building, it looks like the old school. But, so that just is, this is another one of those things to re-lend its reuse. Because fact of the matter is, we're going to have probably 6 to 8 old school buildings throughout St. Clair County. And what do you do with them? And I think yours is a great example, and I think this project here is a great example of some possibilities and potentials for these old schools, so.
Very good. Any other discussion?
Looking at this, the Brownfield, that's gonna be, that's 16th day, that already took place then.
Who are you talking to?
All done?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, peer review committee appointment.
Make a motion, we send it on to the full board.
Support.
There's been a motion and support. Are there any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, the Blue Otter River Walk lease agreement with the Community Foundation Blue Otter Land Fund.
Motion to send it on to the full board.
Support?
Talked to Mark and Randy. Neither one of them were able to be here this evening to talk on behalf of this, but ultimately the Parks and Rec's going to, Dennis, you know a little bit about this, right?
I can fit.
Okay, Gary, all right.
Basically, the land fund, they got the property from Atchison, developed the Riverwalk, and then approached Parks and said, we don't have anybody to maintain this, clean it, police it, whatever. Can you take it over? Well, then it was into, service contract, insurance problems, and then we suggested our side, why not just lease it and essentially make it a county park? And they loved it, and they're gonna pay all the major expenses for water, any problems with the waterfront, whatever. And Parks will have it as a park, manage it as a park. It'll be part of their portfolio of parks, and it'll attach right to the one they have just south of it, and it's just a real nice deal for everybody. So, basically it.
Thanks, Gary. Mr. Greattop.
I sit on that land committee over at the Community Foundation. We've been working on this for quite a while, and I have to tell you that there was full support from both the Land Fund Committee to do this, as well as the board over there at the Community Foundation. I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Is there any talk about making that drive area a little bit less in speed bumps?
Well, county parks could propose doing that, but obviously they're not gonna pay for it because they don't own the asset. There's a lot of talk about trying to get grant money and to deal with things like that, but
Yes, I drove down there tonight to look.
yeah,
at
it could be a mess. And Mark's on that stuff. I mean, he's a lot of grants, a lot of improvements, so I know they'll be looking at things like that.
Good.
Any other discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, Smiths Creek landfill activities report.
Make a motion to receive and file.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Other environmental public work matters. Saying none. The monthly public rec,
Make a motion to receive and file 10A and B.
Support?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11,
Make a motion to receive and file packets.
So moved.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We were kind of froze
Yeah,
there.
they were.
This time, I'd like to call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Baldwin.
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann, Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Greattop,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing.
Here. Item 2, addition, deletion, changes to the agenda. Can I have a motion?
Motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Do we have any citizens wishing to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move to updates. Do we have any updates? We have none. We do have a conceptual initiative. Carrie?
Yes, we do. I'll actually.
Yeah, I wanted to put this on the agenda, ultimately to see if the rest of the commissioners would be interested in administration going out and taking a look at some opportunities, possibilities, what you may call it, for the art band building here. Is it a sale? Is it an RFP for development? So on and so forth. I'd like to give Carrie, I think we have our meeting in 3 weeks, actually, if you feel that's ample time to come back with some possible solutions at looking to move forward with it. And I don't know what that looks like, but we'll have further discussion on that. I don't know what the commissioners' thoughts are with it. Carrie, if you want to chime in on any of it, or just really looking for direction. Do you want her to do it or don't you, I guess is the...
Yeah, we've already had meetings on that briefly on it, and got some ideas and discussions at the, when we had the three commissioners together and had some ideas, so I would definitely support that. I don't know if I need a motion for that to give Carrie the authority, or
No, just
direction?
she's looking for direction. I think it's a good idea to go ahead and do some sort of an RFP. I guess my question would be, are we going to go ahead and get another appraisal on the property? I think things have changed. Downtown is more vibrant than it was. The building maybe has deteriorated. I just think it would be a good idea to go ahead and get some sort of an appraisal so we know where we are. And then from there, maybe we can go ahead and put together the RFP that I think, Gary, you had been talking a little bit about doing some sort of an RFP. And with that, we can throw it out there. We don't have to list it. We don't have to do anything. We can throw it out there and kind of see what comes back. I think there's some interest out there from what I'm hearing. Be my favor to go, I mean, my thoughts to be in favor of doing it that way.
I would support that 100%. I think we've sat on it long enough. It's time to see something happen
I
down
also
there.
agree, the appraisal give us a good starting point.
I guess I'll finish now. Let Russian cut me off, but, no, I think we've sat out long enough. If we've got some parties that are interested, I think it's time to make a move of some sort.
I definitely think we need to make a move to do something with it. I don't know that I'm necessarily in favor of doing duplications. If you had something where there was an interest, I don't know if you get the cart before the horse, or, are we gonna do this and come up with a price, or are we gonna put it out for bid? And then, if we do an appraisal and it comes back at X, and then somebody wants to buy it, and then they have to get another appraisal and it comes back at Y, is it, I don't know the procedure, I
Was
guess.
the old appraisal, is it 2 years old?
Yeah, it was 2016.
2016, okay.
Yes, 3
So-
years.
So it might just be an updated, so not maybe a full appraisal, but an update, maybe a little lesser?
Yeah, the discussion you had when I was in the meeting with you, I think just getting the line item 1 that we discussed, kind of that one would be a good starting point.
We had talked about it administratively, and the idea was to do an RFP because it's really more than price. It's what would somebody use it for, or develop it into? How would it enhance the tax base, create jobs, help downtown, bring people downtown, help the community? What's their experience, their ability to deliver, really make it happen? What's their track record in doing that? Those types of things would be in the RFP. Price is certainly a factor, but I know from my experience with this board and economic development, price is a part of it, but it's more making things happen for the community. So we get all those things and see who's got what ideas and what kind of money they got, what kind of experience they've got, and take it from there.
What do they call that, highest and best use?
Yep.
So I think between you and Carrie, are you comfortable, you and Gary, talking about something and bringing it back in 3 weeks, right?
Any further discussion?
26, yeah.
All right, then we don't need a motion or anything. We'll move on to old business. We have none. New business, 7A, front of court checking account, and this is for final action. If you've gone over it, Carrie, if you want to give a brief explanation, if you could.
Sure. The board's policy does require any new bank accounts to come before you. This is when you approved, it was either last month or the prior month, of transferring positions from the prosecuting attorney's office over to the friend of court. The prosecutor's office did have an impressed account to handle the claims that they have to pay quickly, so this is just transferring a new account over to friend of court.
Can I have a motion for final action?
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? We need a roll call on this?
Yeah, it's final action in a contract, I think.
Commissioner McConnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Baldwin?
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes. 7B, State's Federal Surplus Property Program.
Make a motion, we send this on to the full board.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. The Stewart, Beauvais and Whipple, PC Audit Services Agreement.
I'd move this be sent to the full board.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. The Board of Commissioners, meeting schedule revision, and this is for final action. I never got it.
I'll make a motion that we move our September
19th,
19th meeting to September
26th.
26th.
Support.
Thank you.
And the reason for that, the EDA has their annual dinner that day, 5 to 7, and obviously the county's very involved with the EDA, so, to work around the scheduling conflict.
And for further discussion on this is that it was scheduled for Riley Township. That has canceled. Riley has taken it off their agenda, and it will be held here.
Without Dave.
Correct. I'm going to be gone. So,
Probably a reason we're doing it then.
Where are you going to be?
is that part of the public record?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. This time, do we have any other Ways and Means Matters?
I just have a quick one that I want to throw out there to the guys, and I talked to Carrie briefly about this. I'm part of a change order committee, so is Georgia, and we had to meet previous this meeting for $2,000 item out of a $2 million build, right? Because our policy says, and you have to have these. And just as far as maybe giving her a little bit more threshold discrepancy, call it what you may, keep us informed. But we had to have one for $1,000 or $500, right? That we had to call a meeting, special meeting for. It just, I know why we did it originally. We did it years ago when we had the jail thing fall in our lap and we put the joint on lockdown, right? So, but it just, you get to the point now with some of these. I don't know what that threshold looks like, but I have confidence in Carrie if she's got to spend $5,000 or, whatever that number may be.
Most are less than 10,
Well,
so.
is that what- yeah.
And
So just to,
Nothing's-
just to get some revisions on that, so that we're actually,
Sounds like a good idea.
I agree.
yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Any other Ways and Means Matters? Can I have a motion for the information notice public hearing for City of St. Clair?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.
Motion to receive and file.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.
Look at that, 11.